Snow fell thick that night, heavy enough to swallow the city whole. Rachel sat huddled in the empty bus station, wearing only a thin red dress. No coat, no home. Her husband had thrown her out hours earlier, divorce papers still crumpled in her hand. His final words echoed in the silence. "You're useless because you can't have children." Her fingers turned purple from cold. Her heart felt dead. If you want stories beyond the headlines, subscribe and stay with us. Before we continue, let us know where in the world you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. Then, a man with 3 children stopped in front of her. She looked up through the snow. Was this just random kindness, or the moment everything would change? The man crouched down to her eye level. He had dark hair dusted with snow, and eyes that held something Rachel recognized. Grief, maybe, or exhaustion. Behind him, 3 children stood close together, their breath making small clouds in the frozen air. "Are you waiting for someone?" the man asked. Rachel shook her head. Her voice came out thin. "The buses stopped running." "How long have you been out here?" She didn't know. Time had blurred after her husband shoved her out the door, after he threw her belongings into the hallway, after the neighbors turned away and closed their doors. The bus station had been the only place with a bench and a roof. "A while," she said. The smallest child, a boy who looked about 6, tugged at the man's coat. "Dad, she's really cold." The man glanced back at his son, then back at Rachel again. He seemed to be making a decision. "I'm Lucas Reed. These are my kids, Tyler, Emma, and Max." Rachel pulled the thin fabric of her red dress tighter around her knees. "Rachel." Lucas took off his coat and held it out to her. "Put this on." "I can't. You'll freeze without it." His tone left no room for argument. Rachel took the coat. It was still warm from his body. She wrapped it around her shoulders and felt the first relief from the cold in hours. "My car is just across the street. Come with us. You can warm up at our house, get something to eat. We have a guest room. You can stay the night." Rachel stared at him. Strangers didn't do this. People didn't just take in random women from bus stations. She'd learned that much in the last 12 hours. The world was full of closed doors and turned backs. "Why?" she asked. Lucas looked down at his children, then back at Rachel. Something shifted in his face. "Because my kids are right. It's too cold." Max reached out and took Rachel's hand. His fingers were warm even through his mittens. "Come on, our house has a fireplace." Rachel felt something crack inside her chest. Not break, just crack enough to let a tiny bit of warmth through. She stood up on shaking legs. The divorce papers fell from her lap onto the bench, but she didn't pick them up. She didn't want them anymore. Lucas's car was a dark USV with car seats in the back. Tyler climbed into the front passenger seat, while Emma and Max scrambled into the middle row. Rachel slid into the back, still wearing Lucas's coat. The drive took 15 minutes through streets thick with snow. Nobody spoke much. Max hummed something under his breath. Emma kept turning around to look at Rachel, her eyes full of questions she didn't ask. Lucas's house sat at the end of a quiet street. It was a 2-story brick home with a porch light that cast yellow across the snow. Inside, it smelled like pine and something baked. "Take your shoes off," Emma said, already kicking off her boots. "Dad's weird about wet floors." Rachel slipped out of her thin flats. Her feet were numb. "Go sit by the fire," Lucas said, shrugging off his own coat in the entryway. "I'll make coffee." The living room had a stone fireplace with embers still glowing. Rachel sank onto the couch and held her hands toward the heat. Slowly, painfully, feeling returned to her fingers. The 3 children settled around her like birds. Max sat on the floor near her feet. Emma perched on the arm of the couch. Tyler stood by the fireplace, watching her with careful eyes. "Why were you at the bus station?" Max asked. "Max," Tyler said sharply, "don't be nosy." "It's okay," Rachel said quietly. She looked at the boy's open face and decided on a version of the truth. "I didn't have anywhere else to go." "Like us after Mom died," Emma said. The room went still. Rachel looked up at the girl. "We didn't have anywhere to go either," Emma continued.
Grandma and Grandpa wanted us to move to Arizona, but Dad said no. He said home is where we belong. Lucas appeared in the doorway with a mug of coffee. He handed it to Rachel without meeting his eyes. "Kids, go get ready for bed." "But Dad—" "Now." The children scattered. Rachel heard footsteps on the stairs, the sound of running water, distant voices.
Lucas sat in the chair across from her. "I'm sorry about Emma. She doesn't always know when to stop talking." "It's fine." Rachel wrapped her hands around the mug. The heat felt like mercy. "I'm sorry about your wife." Something flickered across Lucas's face. "It's been 18 months. That's not very long. Long enough to learn how to keep going." He looked at her directly for the first time. "What happened to you tonight?" Rachel took a sip of coffee. It was strong and sweet. "My husband filed for divorce. He said I was useless because I can't have children." The words came out flat. She'd expected them to hurt more, but they just sat there in the air like facts. Lucas's jaw tightened. "That's not true." "Which part?" "All of it." Lucas leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "I know you're not useless, and I know anyone who'd throw someone out in a snowstorm is the one with the problem, not you." Something in Rachel's throat went tight. She nodded because she couldn't speak. "The guest room is upstairs, second door on the left. There are clean towels in the bathroom. Help yourself to anything you need." "I'll leave in the morning." "You don't have to." Rachel looked up sharply. "What?" Lucas stood and walked to the fireplace. He added another log, watching the flames catch. "Stay as long as you need to. A few days, a week, however long it takes to figure out what comes next." "You don't even know me," Rachel said again. "No, but my kids are watching how I respond to someone in trouble. I want them to learn that you help when you can, that you don't turn away from people who need it." Rachel felt the crack in her chest widen a little more. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Lucas almost smiled. "You haven't met us at breakfast. It gets loud." That night, Rachel lay in the guest room bed under a thick quilt. She could hear the house settling around her, footsteps overhead, a door closing, the furnace kicking on. For the first time in years, she felt something close to safe. She woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered the snow, the bus station, Lucas and his children. Downstairs, she found chaos. Max was crying because he couldn't find his library book. Emma was arguing with Tyler about whose turn it was to feed the dog. Lucas stood at the stove making pancakes with one hand and packing lunches with the other. He looked up when Rachel appeared in the doorway. "Coffee's fresh." "Can I help?" "You don't have to." "I want to." Lucas handed her a spatula. "Keep them from burning while I find Max's book." Rachel stepped up to the stove. The pancakes sizzled. Emma appeared at her elbow. "Do you like chocolate chips?" the girl asked. "I do." "Me too. Dad never puts enough in." Rachel smiled and reached for the bag of chocolate chips on the counter. She scattered a generous handful across the next pancake. Emma grinned. "I like you." By the time Lucas returned with the library book, breakfast was on the table. The children ate like they were starving. Rachel sat at the end of the table with her coffee and watched them. This was what a family looked like, messy and loud and full of life. After the kids left for school, Lucas cleared the dishes while Rachel dried them. They worked in comfortable silence. "I have to go to the office today. You're welcome to stay here. Make yourself at home." "What do you do?" "I run a tech company, software development mostly." Rachel nodded. That explained the nice house, the easy offer of help. "What did you do before your marriage?" "I was in college, business degree. I dropped out when I got married. My husband said I didn't need to finish. He made enough for both of us." "Do you want to go back?" The question caught her off guard. "To school? To whatever you left behind?" Rachel looked out the window at the snow melting in the morning sun. "I don't know what I want anymore." "That's okay. You've got time to figure it out." Days turned into a week. Lucas offered to pay her to help with the household.
Rachel refused at first, but he insisted. He needed someone to manage the chaos, someone to make sure homework got done and lunches got packed and the house didn't fall apart. It wasn't charity, he said. It was a job. Rachel accepted because she needed something to hold on to, something to make her feel less like a burden and more like she belonged. 3 weeks passed before Rachel realized she'd stopped flinching when someone entered a room. She was folding laundry in the living room when Lucas came home early from work. Her hands kept moving, steady on the warm cotton. Before, she would have frozen. Before, she would have waited to see if she'd done something wrong. "How was your day?" "Good. Max got 100 on his spelling test. He told me you've been practicing with him every night." He just needed someone to listen. She set a folded shirt on the pile. "Emma made the basketball team." Lucas smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "She didn't tell me she tried out." "She was nervous you'd be disappointed if she didn't make it." "I wouldn't have been."
I know, Rachel said gently. But she's 10. She doesn't always know that. 2 months in, Lucas called a family meeting. The children gathered in the living room with varying degrees of curiosity. Rachel started to leave, but Lucas stopped her. "This involves you too," he said. Rachel sat in the chair by the fireplace while Lucas stood in front of them all. "I want to talk about how things are going with Rachel being here." Max bounced on the couch. "I like it. She makes good cookies." "It's not just about cookies," Emma said. "She helps with everything." Tyler didn't say anything, but he nodded. Lucas looked at Rachel. "The kids and I talked, and we all agree. We'd like you to stay permanently, not as temporary help, as part of our household." Rachel's throat went tight. "Lucas, I know you're worried about being a burden," he continued, "so I want to make this official. I'm offering you a real position. Household manager. Fair salary, health insurance, everything." "You don't have to do that." "I know I don't have to. I want to." Lucas's voice was firm. "You've brought something back to this house that we lost. You care about my children. They care about you, and honestly, we function better with you here." Rachel looked at the 3 faces watching her. Emma hopeful, Max excited, Tyler cautious but open. "What about you?" she asked Lucas quietly. "What do you want?" Something flickered in his eyes. "I want you to stay." The words carried weight beyond their simple meaning. Rachel felt it settle in her chest. "Okay," she said. "I'll stay." The months that followed were the happiest Rachel could remember. She learned that Tyler loved science documentaries and hated peas, that Emma would talk for hours if you let her, that Max had nightmares sometimes, and the only thing that helped was someone sitting with him until he fell back asleep. She learned that Lucas took his coffee black, that he worked too much and slept too little, that he carried his grief quietly. And she started to feel something dangerous. It crept up slowly, the way her heart would skip when Lucas walked into a room, the way she'd find excuses to stay up late so they could talk after the kids were asleep. Then came the phone call. Rachel was making dinner when Lucas came home early. His face was unreadable. "Can we talk?" he asked. Her stomach dropped. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I just got an offer." He set his briefcase down. "A major contract, the kind that could triple our revenue." "That's good, isn't it?" "It is, but there's a catch." Lucas ran his hair through his hair. "They want me in New York for 6 months, on site, full time." Rachel's hands stilled on the cutting board. 6 months? "I'd have to relocate, find an apartment, be there Monday through Friday minimum." He looked at her. "I don't know how to do that and take care of my kids." "You could bring them with you." "Uproot them from school, from their friends, from the only home they remember with their mother?" Lucas shook his head. "I can't ask them to do that." "Then turn it down. This opportunity won't come again." He sat at the kitchen table, suddenly looking exhausted. "This is the kind of deal that sets up their future. College funds, security, everything I've been working toward." Rachel turned off the stove and sat across from him. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know." Lucas met her eyes. "What would you do?" The question caught him off guard. He was asking her opinion like it mattered, like she had a say in his family's future. "I think," she said slowly, that your kids need you more than they need money. They need both. No, they need you, present, alive, not stretched between two cities. Rachel leaned forward. But if this is really that important, then find a way to keep everyone together. There is no way. Yes, there is. The words came out before she could stop them. Take all of us with you. Lucas stared at her. What? Move the whole family to New York. 6 months isn't forever. Kids are resilient. They'll adjust. I can manage the transition, find schools, set up the new house, keep everything running while you focus on work. Rachel, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. She held his gaze. Let me do this. Let me help. Something broke in Lucas's expression. He reached across the table and took her hand. His palm was warm against hers. Why? He asked quietly. Because I love you. Because I love your children. Because the thought of being apart from any of you makes my chest ache. But she couldn't say that. So instead she said, because you'd do the same for me. Lucas's thumb brushed across her knuckles. I would. They sat there in the kitchen with the half-made dinner going cold on the counter. Lucas didn't let go of her hand. If we do this, he said finally, we do it right. I find a place big enough for all of us. You get a raise for managing an interstate move, and we sit down with the kids tonight and make sure they're okay with it. Okay. Rachel, his voice dropped lower. I need to tell you something. Her breath caught. What?
These past few months, having you here, watching you with my kids, getting to know you. Lucas stood and pulled her to her feet, still holding her hand. I can't keep pretending I don't feel this. Feel what? That I love you. The words came out rough, like they'd been held back too long. I'm in love with you, Rachel. Have been for weeks, maybe longer. And I know this complicates everything. I know I'm your employer, and that puts you in an impossible position. But I can't go to New York and spend 6 months pretending I don't want this, that I don't want you. Rachel couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at this man who'd pulled her out of the snow and given her a life, and was now offering her something she'd thought she'd never have again. Say something, Lucas said. I love you too. The words tumbled out. I've been trying not to. I've been so scared of ruining this, of losing everything if you didn't feel the same way. But I do. I love you. Lucas cupped her face with both hands. You're not going to lose anything. You don't know that. Yes, I do. He leaned his forehead against hers. Because I'm not letting you go. Then he kissed her, gentle and certain, and Rachel felt every wall she'd built come crashing down. The move to New York happened in early September. The apartment Lucas had rented was in a building with a doorman and views of Central Park. The kids got their own rooms. Rachel had a small office space where she could work. Lucas's work consumed him. He left early and came home late, exhausted and distracted. The kids struggled to adjust to new schools. Emma cried herself to sleep the first week. Max had nightmares about getting lost in the subway. Tyler became quiet and withdrawn. Rachel held everything together during the day, but at night she lay awake and wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. 1 month in, she found Emma sitting on the fire escape outside her bedroom window. You're not supposed to be out there, Rachel said. I know. Emma didn't move. Rachel climbed out and sat beside her. The city stretched out below them, all light and noise. I miss home, Emma said finally. I know. I miss my basketball team. I miss my friends. I miss Mom. The girl's voice broke. And I feel bad for missing her because you're here and you're nice and I like you, but you're not her. Rachel's throat tightened. I'm not trying to be her. I know, but Dad looks at you the way he used to look at Mom, and it makes me feel like I'm supposed to forget her. Your dad loved your mom. He still does. That doesn't go away just because he loves me too. Rachel reached for Emma's hand. Love isn't a replacement. It's not one or the other. Your heart has room for both. Emma looked at her with red eyes. Does yours? The question stopped Rachel cold.
She thought about Sarah, the woman whose office she'd moved into, whose family she'd joined, whose husband she'd fallen in love with. "Yes," Rachel said, "my heart has room for your mom too, because she made you. She made your brothers. She made your dad into the man I love. I didn't know her, but I'm grateful for her every single day." Emma leaned against her shoulder. "I think she would have liked you." Rachel wrapped her arm around the girl. "I hope so." After that night, something shifted. The kids stopped fighting the change and started accepting it. They made friends at their new schools. They explored the city together on weekends. They built new routines. And Rachel started to believe she might actually belong here. That night, after the kids were asleep, Lucas pulled Rachel onto the couch beside him. "I need to tell you something." Her stomach tightened. "What?" "You were right about bringing everyone to New York. This has been good for us. Not just the work stuff, all of it. Being here together, becoming a real family. We were a real family before. No, before we were people living in the same house. Now we're something more." Lucas turned to face her fully. "I want to make this permanent, Rachel. Not just the job, not just living together. I want you to marry me." Rachel's breath stopped. "I love you. My kids love you. You love us. And I know you're scared. I know you think you're not enough. But you're wrong." He cupped her face. "You're everything. And I don't want to spend another day without making sure you know that. I can't give you children. I don't care. Everyone cares eventually. Not me." Lucas's voice was absolute. "I have 3 children who need a mother more than they need siblings. I have a partner who makes me better. That's enough. More than enough." Rachel felt something crack open inside her chest. The voice that had whispered useless for so long finally went quiet. "Yes," Rachel said. "Yes, yes, I'll marry you." Lucas kissed her like he'd been waiting his whole life to hear those words. They got married in December, a small ceremony at City Hall with just the kids and a few close friends. Rachel wore a simple blue dress. Lucas held her hand like he was afraid she might disappear. When they exchanged vows, Rachel looked at the 3 children watching them. Tyler stood tall and serious. Emma grinned. Max bounced on his toes. This was her family now, really and truly hers. Rachel finished her bachelor's degree the following year, then started a master's program in social work. She got a job at a women's center, helping others navigate the aftermath of failed marriages and shattered lives. Every woman who walked through the door reminded her of herself sitting in that bus station. She told them the same thing Lucas had told her. "You're not broken. You're not useless. You're just at the beginning of something new." Years passed. Tyler went to college. Max grew tall and serious like his older brother. Emma became a fierce, funny teenager who wanted to change the world. On the day of Emma the high school graduation, Rachel sat in the auditorium between Lucas and Max. Tyler had flown in from his freshman year at MIT. They were all there together, whole. Emma walked across the stage to receive her diploma. Then she stepped up to the microphone for the valedictorian speech. "I want to thank my family," she began. Her eyes found them in the crowd. "My brothers who drove me crazy but always had my back. My dad who showed me what it means to never give up. And Rachel." She said the name with such warmth that Rachel's eyes immediately filled. 7 years ago, Rachel came into our lives when we were broken, when we didn't know how to be a family anymore. She could have left 100 times. She could have decided we were too much work, too much baggage, too much grief. But she stayed. She loved us when we weren't sure we deserved to be loved. She became my mom not because she had to, but because she chose to. And that choice changed everything. Emma's voice wavered. "So this diploma isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who helped me get here, but especially to the woman who taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you even when it's hard. Rachel, This is for you." The auditorium erupted in applause. Lucas squeezed Rachel's hand. Max threw his arm around her shoulders. Rachel couldn't stop crying. That night, after the celebration dinner, after the guests had gone home, Rachel stood in the backyard under the stars. She thought about that night 7 years ago, the snow, the bus station, the moment Lucas and his children had stopped in front of her. "Come with me," he'd said, not knowing it would save her life. She'd thought she was useless, broken beyond repair, but she'd been wrong. She just needed someone to show her what she was worth. Lucas came outside and wrapped his arms around her from behind. "What are you thinking about?" "That night when you found me. This night of my life." Rachel turned in his arms. "Mine too." They stood together in the garden they'd built, in the home they'd made, surrounded by the family they'd chosen. Rachel had finally found where she belonged, and it was exactly where she'd always been meant to be.